All right, so as I said, I want to go through Chapter 8, so I'm on page 371, short chapter. All right, the actual chapter text is only about 10 or 15 pages long. So, describe the recommended use of a table on a page. Tables should be used for tabular information. In the past, I know many a web developer who set up every site they ever did, they created a template, and they had a huge table in it. And each one of those tables had tables in them. The big table would be for their entire website. They'd also have a table for each page. It's very easy to center things with tables. But tables have fallen out of favor over the years, and they should only be used for actual tabular or table-like information. We'll create a basic table, and I'll show you all the different elements. And then we'll add the T-head, T-body, and T-foot to it. Talk about how to increase table accessibility, how to style a table with CSS, and it says describe the purpose of CSS structural pseudo classes. So if you create a table, and it's very easy, if you put the stuff that you see down here in, you get this table. And that confuses people sometimes because unless you put border equals and put a number in there, it looks like that. There is no border. Some people say, no, it's an invisible border. It doesn't matter. It's not there. All right. So if I grabbed all of this information that you see right here, every bit of it, copied it to the clipboard, and I'm just going to throw it into, this is the document that I had before, and I'm going to save this, and I run it, that's exactly what they showed in the book. And by the same token, if I come through here and I say border equal 1, just putting that in and putting it in by the table tag and running it again, you see the difference. All right. Now, it may not seem like a big thing, but I want to show you a few things about this using this table. The stuff that's in here, each one of the things that you see, the name, birthday, phone, that's row 0. Jack 513 857 555 5555, that's row 1. Sparky 1128 303 555 5555. That's row 2. This is column 0. That is column 1. That is column 2. Does that make sense to everyone? That's a big part in understanding these. Now you'll notice that when this was set up, these were set up as TDs. But they're really not. TD stands for table data. They really should have been put in there as THs, which stands for table header. And there's a reason I'm doing this. And I'm going to say, you see what it looks like. Notice what happens. Please look at the top line when I refresh. Table headers, two things. Automatically bolded, automatically centered. All right? Anything that you put in here that's considered a string or characters in here for your table rows are automatically left justified. Anything that you put in there that are numbers are automatically right justified. Do you hear that? You might say, well, that's not right justified. That's not a number. Because technically, if the system was looking at this as a number, it would be looking at it as 857 minus 555 minus 5,555. All right? So here's different things that you can set up with table elements. All right? You can align them. You can work with color. You can work with border. You can do cell padding. You can do cell spacing, summary, title, and width. All right? And one of them, there's another one that's not even shown here. So I'm going to show it over here. And that's caption. So I'm going to put up at the top here, caption. All right, I'm just going to say here, my birthday list, and then in the caption. All right, again, you saw exactly what this looked like. Now notice, all right, well, I screwed it up. I didn't think I did, but I must have. Might have to go before. I thought it was in part of the table, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's check. All right, I don't think that's right, but we're going to see it. you can add captions to tables. Now, that's not that important a thing one way or the other, but I do want to mention what is important is this summary. Now, you'll notice it says obsolete in HTML5. What that means is these have been deprecated, but you'll still see that in there a lot. Again, for people who have visual impairments. So their browser can say, this is a table about boom. And you can put whatever you want to put in there. All right? You'll notice that many of these say obsolete in HTML5. What that means is they've been replaced with something that you do with straight CSS. All right? And they go through. There's the caption. So what did I do wrong? Caption, caption. It's exactly what I had, but it doesn't show. This is correct. What I showed you was actually correct. Not sure why it didn't show. I spelled caption right, and I spelled it right there. Maybe I didn't save. I don't know. There it is. See how it's centered? Okay. And I can go in with CSS. I can bold it. I can make it a different color. I can add padding. I can add margin, etc. You know all that stuff now. All right? All right, again, notice most of this stuff that you see in here, obsolete, which means you don't do it like that anymore. That means that all new development should be done using CSS, not using these elements. All right, and the question oftentimes arises, somebody will raise their hand and go, okay, I get that, then why are you showing us? Because there are literally millions of lines of code still out there that have these in there. And it's not like people are going to go back and change them. It's not the way it works. So this is for the table row, the TR element. This is for the TD and TH. And it's important that you realize looking at this. All right. We take it from the top here. There's the beginning table tag, so it starts with table. There's the ending table tag, so it ends with slash table. All right. Tables they consist of rows. Rows consist of either table headers or table data. Does that make sense? Because that's really all there is to it. All right? Which is why I believe, I don't even know if Evan goes over this stuff in St. Louis, but I think there are enough tables out there that you should at least be exposed to this. All right, that's my feeling. All right, so they go through here, and again, they add the caption, col span and row span. You want something to span multiple columns, you want it to span multiple rows. So col span says you want to expand it horizontally, row span says you want to expand it vertically. Does that make sense? So have something take up more than one column or more than one row. So let's grab the example that they put in here. And I'll put a table right underneath my table. And there's that next example. So you'll see we've got here col span equal to, and it says this spans 2 columns. There it is. This spans 2 columns. So that's a col span. Let's grab the other one and put that in here. And that one has got in it a, whoops, not that. That one's got in it a row span. There's the row span. Make sense to everybody? All right. Now I'm going to grab everything that I've done in there. In fact, I think I'll leave this one in here. But all the other stuff that I just added with the column and the row span, I'm going to comment it out. So I'm back to having just this. And that's fine for right now. So you go through, you know, you're not assigned these, but if you do want to learn more about them, there are hands-on throughout the chapter, and there aren't that many because it's a short chapter. All right, configuring an accessible table. One of the reasons that tables have fallen out of favor is, by and large, if you use the older attributes, the ones that we saw that said obsolete, if you use those, screen readers and the like don't work well with them. All right, that's one of the reasons they're obsolete now. But there are things that you can do. Notice for TD, headers equal name, headers equal data. What you're doing is you're providing information about the table to the screen reader. All right, and that's literally what it's doing. So they have an exercise in here that shows you how you can style an accessible table. And again, when we say an accessible table, that is not just for people who are sight impaired. All right, remember there are people who are colorblind, there are people who have all sorts of situations. All right, and you want to try to make it as accessible as you can for all of them. Notice how in here, there's CSS for just the table. There's CSS for just the table data and table header tags. There's CSS for the caption tag. So you can add CSS for anything on a table you need to or want to add. You can also, for tables, when you create a table, you can set up an ID or you can set up a class. And you can do it that way. So there's a lot of different ways that this stuff can be done. Notice now they've come through here and they put a border around it. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this term before. See how the colors are different? That's referred to typically as zebra striping. All right, when you want every other row. What confuses people? I'm asking you. What row number is this? 0. So 0, 1. What confuses people? 1 now is an even number, and and 3, etc. Because 0 is the odd number. Sometimes when you work with this stuff and you use odd and even to set up striping, it confuses people. You get the reverse of this, all right, because you told it to start striping there, so that one will be gray then white, and it doesn't matter? No. All right. And it doesn't have to be gray and white. In fact, it's really blue and white. It's kind of hard to tell on here, but you can make it any color you want it to be. Is there a way to create a table like page layout with CSS? All right, it says not yet, but there are more options in the future. There really are, but it just takes a lot of work. All right, so most people don't do it because it takes a lot of work. All right, here's some more of these CSS3 pseudo classes. These are things that as you move on and as you progress, you have to be able to understand this stuff. The good news is most of it is not hard to understand because it's the words kind of mean what you think they would mean. In other words, first of type applies to the first element of a specified type. What does that mean? Who cares? Well, if I wanted to apply some special kind of CSS to just maybe the first table element that was in there, I could do it that way. All right? So there's a first of, there's a first child. There's a last of and a last child. So if you want to do the first one or the last one, but sometimes you don't want to do the first one or the last one, you want to do one of the ones in the middle. So that's the nth of. I know it's kind of a pain, but I would say it'd be worth your time to at least read through that chart and take a look at it. Again, there's a good hands-on practice in here that runs through this stuff. You're not assigned it, all right, but if you want to become proficient in all this stuff, it probably would be worth your while to do it. You say, well, yeah, I do it, but I don't have the time. I get it. All right? And the last thing, we're done. The last thing that's discussed in here, starting on section 8.7, that's on 384, 385, and 386, that's the end of the chapter, talks about table sections. All right? And it may not look like a big thing, but what you can do is you can section off the stuff. In other words, I can take this. I'm going to grab this table that we did before. All right? And I can say that this is my T-head section. So that's all information about the header. Okay? And I can say this is my T-body section. And I don't have anything in here for a footer. But if I did, I could say T-foot, and have some stuff in here, whatever it would happen to be, and set it up as a footer section. Okay? So they're talking about sectioning it off, configuring table sections, which again makes it easier for the person working on the table, and it makes it easier for screen readers to work with it. All right? And there's an exercise that goes through this. Okay? So what I want to do right now, that's it for the chapter, but rather than stopping and starting again, I'm going to give you your next assignment, which I've got right here, and I screwed it up because that wasn't what that was supposed to say, but I already printed them off, so I'm not doing it again. So this is your next assignment. This is due, I think we're on day 14. This is due day 19, so it's due like in a week. But we're going to spend about 5 minutes going through it. After we get done, I'm going to give you back your tests for you to take a quick look at. Again, you can take a look at them, and after you're done looking at them, if you please give them back. And then the rest of the period will be yours for lab. This is it. There's no back page. It's all on here. But there's still, believe me, plenty to do. All right, so taking it from the top. Using tutorials from the web, complete the following labs on responsive web design. The first one says to go out here to this YouTube, and I think this one was about 15 minutes long. 15 minutes and 58 seconds.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself?
I'm not going to go through any of it. All right, the guy is easy enough to understand. Now, let's give Evan some props here. Evan Gudmested, who works at the St. Louis campus. And what I mean by that is, if we take a look, you may or may not be able to see it. Well, I got to remove this, so hold on a sec. 3,919 likes, 31 dislikes. So it's running about 99% of people who liked it. All right? So it's pretty good. It goes over, that's not it. In fact, I'm going to let this run just for
With Wix, you can create your own professional website.
Hey YouTube, how's it going?
He goes over an example of responsive website design. All right? So that's the first one. It says read and write the code from the following tutorials. All right, so that's the first one. The second one, it's actually an online thing. So let's talk about different ways that you can do this. And what I'm about to tell you, you're either going to think, wow, he's telling us to cheat. No. Well, you'll notice in here you're told to put in this code. And that's fine. You can do that. There's not a problem. Or you could always just highlight it, copy it to the clipboard, right? Or you could do the real cheating way, and you could click, wow, demo zip, download. Well, I guess you could do that too. Depends on how much you want to learn this stuff. All right? And I can, again, identify with anyone who says, well, Jeff, I do want to learn it, but I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the time to do that. All right? Nobody has, none of us have the time we need to do everything. So this is the demo of it when you get done. And it may not look like much, but notice when I come through here and I start to make this smaller, you can see what's happening. All right? It's responsive. All right. So that's number one. Number two, asks you to go out to that CSS Flexbox, that thing on CSS Tricks that we mentioned before. Read all the sections and write the code from the examples. All right? And to be honest with you, neither one of these are going to take you all that long. Okay? The last one will take you a while. Now, build the responsive website utilizing Bootstrap from the following tutorial. So if we go out here, and I actually subscribe to this guy's stuff. His name is Brad Hussey, and he's a very bright guy, and he really knows what he's doing. Now, start reading through this, but when you look, he's got a whole bunch of lessons where he builds a whole complete site using Bootstrap. Do you have to go through every lesson? No. But I'd at least start to go through it. Again, I would recommend going through it as much as you have time to go through. The other thing too, I mean, if there's 20, I don't know how many lessons there are here. Let's say there's 25. All right. I don't care if they're 10 minutes apiece. That's 250 minutes. That's 4 hours. You probably aren't going to want to sit there, even if it's good, for 4 hours. But that said, I would recommend that you watch as much as you can stomach, for lack of better words. Because if you watch one lesson and then you wait a couple days to watch another, you'll have forgotten everything. It's just natural and normal to be that way. All right? And the last one that's on here, this guy, I don't know how he does what he does. His name is Derek Banis. And he puts out tutorials about
You need a
just
website.
about
Why not
everything.
do it yourself? With Wix, it's easy to create your own stunning website.
Well, hello, Internet, and welcome to my Bootstrap video
Well,
tutorial.
hello,
In this
Internet.
one
Yeah, boom, boom,
tutorial,
boom.
I'm pretty much going to
And
take
it's an hour long. Again, notice 3,350 likes, 50 dislikes. He's got stuff on everything. I mean, next, he's got an HTML one, HTML5, CSS, CSS3, JavaScript, C#. He's got talks on just about everything. So if I go out here and just search for Derek Banis, notice what he's got different presentations on. If I just bring that up, it's going to bring me up over on the side here, all of his different presentations. All right, he's got, like I said, I don't know how many, 2,960. All right, some of them are, I'm sure, going to be better than others are going to be. But you're supposed to go look through that and build a responsive website. All right, do the best you can with this. All right, and I'm not even going to lie to you. It might even be possible for you to go out there and find the code. The problem is going to be when you're doing the test next week. You're not going to be able to go out there and say, I want this code, because it's going to be a little bit different, the stuff that you have to do. But again, you're going to be doing some Bootstrap. So last thing, and I told you this before, I'm going to give you the test right now, but what we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to do 2 things, you're going to do 3. When you first come in here, I'm going to try to keep it down to about an hour. So from 8 till 9, we're going to go through the Chapter 7 and the Chapter 8 stuff for the Path of Light Yoga Studio. I'm going to send them all to you this morning, so you'll have the completed versions already. Again, if it's easier for you to just watch me do it, then do that. All right, I know it's, sometimes I go kind of quick because I want to get through them so you have plenty of time. What we're going to do after that is we'll take a break. Then after the break, I'm going to base this off of a class that I took that's online. I don't know if I can legally grab his stuff or not, but we're going to build a very simple website that's going to have no formatting in it whatsoever, and we're going to totally format it using Bootstrap, so you can see how that works. All right. Then on Thursday, it'll be lab all period again until 11:30. Tomorrow I'll have to give you the review sheet for Chapter 7. We'll go over it from 11:30 to 12 on Thursday. All right. Then Friday, we will take the test. All that makes sense? All right. Questions on any of that? All right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pass these out. And again, when you're looking at them, with some of them, I literally put an X through number 6. And I've told you that before. What that means is I did not count number 6 on yours. So there'll be a number up there that'll say like 80 out of 90, or else 80 out of 100. See what I'm saying? If you got it out of 100, you did that exercise correct. So you basically got those 10 points. All right? Otherwise, it's out of 90. It's funny, I asked Charles about this morning, and I explained the situation to him. He said, I think you're doing it the right way. So. take a look at them, and when you're done taking a look at them, just bring them back up and throw them up on the top if you would, please. All right, so the rest of the period today is yours. I'm going to turn this off, stop taping, and I'm going to start writing the test review for the Chapter 7 test that you'll take on Thursday. If I get it done today, I'll give it to you today, but it might not be till tomorrow morning. Yes.
So, for the gradient, what was that supposed to do? Was that supposed to make the background just a gradient?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So
Yes.
okay.
It was literally a line, one line in your CSS.